The diner was loud that morning, coffee cups clinking, bacon sizzling, and laughter rolling from every corner. But when the tall, quiet man in a faded jacket ordered his toast, the room shifted. Behind the counter, a whisper slipped through the air, soft, cruel, and sharp enough to freeze his heart. And in that single moment, everyone in that diner would soon learn who they were really serving. The diner sat on the corner of Main Street, wrapped in the scent of fried eggs and maple syrup. It was a small-town landmark, a place where truckers and teachers shared the same stools and secrets. That morning, sunlight spilled through the blinds, painting stripes across the cracked red booths. When he walked in, no one looked twice. Just another customer, tall, calm, and quiet. His jacket was worn, his boots dusty, his voice soft as he said, "Just toast, please, and a cup of coffee." But beneath the humble request, the air carried something deeper, something watchful. Behind the counter, the young waitress hesitated, her eyes darting toward the kitchen. Then came the whisper, faint but cruel, "Make sure he pays first. People like him always find ways not to." It was said low enough to hide behind the hum of conversation, but he heard it. The whisper didn't just sting, it cracked something open inside him. Around him, the diners went quiet. No one said a word. No one defended him. He smiled anyway, not out of weakness, but because he'd learned that silence often speaks louder than anger. His name was Charles Denton. To the world, he was just another man passing through. But to those who knew the truth, he was the owner of this diner, the man who had built it from the ground up 20 years ago. Back then, it had been a single food truck, run by Charles and his wife, Rose. She'd been the heart of everything, the laughter behind every plate, the warmth behind every meal. When she passed away, Charles poured his grief into his work. He expanded that truck into a diner, creating jobs for people who needed a chance. He never cared for titles or attention. He wore the same clothes as his staff, worked beside them, cleaned tables, and fixed the sink when it broke. But lately, something had changed. New hires, new attitudes. And he'd begun to hear things, quiet comments when they thought he wasn't around. So today, Charles had come in early. No suit, no name tag. Just a man ordering toast in his own restaurant. The waitress brought his plate, 2 slices of toast, slightly burnt, and a cup of coffee gone cold before it reached the table. She didn't look him in the eyes. Across the room, a few regulars watched in uncomfortable silence. Pretending not to see the whisperer appeared again, this time louder. It was the line cooker, tall young man with sleeves rolled to his elbows and pride in his smirk. "Guess the cheap ones always want the cheapest thing," he said, his words dripping with mockery. Charles looked up, his gaze steady. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't fight back. Instead, he reached into his jacket, pulled out his wallet, and placed crisp bills on the counter. "I believe this should cover it," he said simply. Then, just as he turned to leave, a soft voice called from the far corner, "Mr. Denton." Heads turned. The whisperer froze. It was Mara, an older waitress who'd worked there since the first day. Her hands trembled as she stepped forward, her eyes wide with recognition. "I didn't know you were coming in today." A heavy silence fell over the diner. Every fork stopped mid-air. The whisperer's smirk disappeared as realization dawned. Charles turned back, his expression unreadable. "I wanted to see how my team treats the people they serve," he said quietly, "and I've learned more than I expected." The whisperer stammered, I didn't know." Charles raised a hand, stopping him. His voice remained calm, but there was weight behind every word. "You shouldn't have to know someone's name to treat them with respect." The line hung in the air, steady and unforgettable. He walked to the counter, his boots echoing in the silence. Then he reached into his pocket and placed something beside the register, a small brass key with a tag that read Founder's Locker. "I built this place so people could earn, learn, and rise," he said, "but I won't let it become a place where kindness is optional." The young man's eyes fell. Around them, the other workers stood still, ashamed, silent, and changed. The next morning, the diner felt different. The whispers were gone. The laughter was real again. Charles sat in the back booth, drinking coffee that someone had made with care. This time, when Mara came over, she asked softly, "Sir, what made you come in undercover?" Charles smiled faintly, his gaze drifting to the framed photo of Rose on the wall. She used to say, "The real test of character is how you treat those who can't do anything for you." I just wanted to see if we were still passing that test. Mara nodded, tears gathering in her eyes. "I think we're going to now." He looked around, the same walls, the same booths, but something new lingered in the air. Humility, gratitude, respect. As the sun set over Main Street, the diner glowed again, not from its lights, but from the quiet goodness that had returned. People came not just for food, but for the feeling of being seen, valued, and respected. Because sometimes, the most powerful people are the ones who never raise their voice. They let silence do the talking. And Charles Denton, humble, patient, and unshakably kind, proved one simple truth. Dignity isn't in how loudly you speak, it's in how gently you stand your ground. If this story moved you, share it with someone who believes in silent strength. Where are you watching from tonight? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, Like and share for more stories that honor quiet heroes and everyday courage. Thanks all of you being a part of my YouTube family. Big respect and love you all. Stay tuned for the next one video.